for you. It's not too hard to play. I'm going to examine it really closely so that we can all understand what is happening there. It's kind of a Charlie Parker line. Also want to show you how you can visualize chords on your fretboard and see the chords and the lick at the same time, because I think we all know if we have a D-7 like this example, then we probably also know that we can play a D-7 like this, for example. But when it comes to playing like the same line across the fretboard, that seems to be a completely other horse. And as you know, the guitar is a complex instrument, and we can play this freaking C many times on our guitar. So the crux about this instrument is basically we have many ways to playing one thing. But still, the notes and maybe the octave that the notes are in, it's still the same thing. So we need to understand the architecture of the guitar fretboard to really get shit done. And this is just a lick over a 2-5-1 in C major. You can play the D-7 like this. G7 I would recommend like this. And then let's play a C6-9 instead of a C major chord. The line starts on the minor third of the D-7 chord, and then it jumps to the A, which is the 5 of the D-7 chord. But if we measure the distance between the A and the F, we have this interval of a 6, which is a beautiful interval, which is used quite often, especially at the end of phrases. So 6 is beautiful, and then he continues like this. Right, this is just like a chromatic line if you want to, just A, B flat and B. And remember, we're still on the D-7. So we start on the minor third, we jump to the A, and then we end on the B, right? And one could think he's just like, you know, chromatically approaching the B on the D minor, which would be like the 6 of the chord, right? But that's not the case, right? He's anticipating the next chord, and that's our G7. And the major third, again, the third is such an important interval, is the B. And that's his goal, that's the target note, is the B of the next chord. So it's A, B flat, B. So if you want to really break it down, it's basically playing the third on the D-7 and then playing the third of the G7 just a little early. We can do that. It's called anticipation, and it just, like, you know, helps move the line forward. We don't always have to play the exact notes of each chord in the exact same duration of the chord, right? Try that at home. You can just think, okay, D-7, I'm playing the F, right? G7, I'm playing the B. And that's how I would actually start working on it. I would just like record myself maybe two 5-1s. Let's say D-7 and G7, and let's say, because I like the distance of a third, F-7 and B flat 7. And let's do that for a couple of times. And maybe somewhere else. Now I have to think, where's the F? Where's the B? Where is the A flat? Where's the D? Where's the F? Right, in this moment when I'm starting to play it somewhere else, and I'm starting to think of the name of the next note, right? Because it's still the same note, it's the F on the D-7. But then I have to know where notes are. And I think this is a really good exercise which combines making music and learning language at the same time as exploring a lick, right? So a lot of benefits with one thing. And now, since I did that, I can say, okay, let's approach the 3 chromatically from below, like in this lick, but just like as usual, I want to do my own thing, so I'm going just to chromatically approach each 3 from below. So the F is well like. And just practice this for a while. Can have different rhythms and articulations. F. It all always comes down to knowing what we do. Don't be discouraged, right? You can learn it if you practice in a way, and if it's only for 10 minutes in your entire practice routine, where you know the notes on the fretboard consciously, it will make such a difference. But if you don't do it, it won't come up by itself, unfortunately. So I can just like have the D minor and C minor third here. Or I can have the D minor here. I know the third is here. Can I have another D minor? I know the third is here. Can I have another D minor? Right, and also the same goes with the G7. Because I need the 3. Right? So my brain, the line and the chord is connected. I find that sometimes easier. Let's continue. The next thing that's happening is the E. And the E is the 13 on the G7. And that's really cool. So he's playing like. Which is like a color note. It's a beautiful note on a G7. It's a beautiful choice in a 2-5-1 in major. And then I can think again, oh, how many dominant 7th chords do I know with a 13 in it? Just like look for it, maybe this one. Triad of the G7 chord. Triad. Right? GBD, so he's playing. Just like descending. And here, I'm already visualizing the next shape. I'm visualizing the triad. Right? Now we know we start on the minor third. Approach the major third of the G7, go to a color note, play a plain triad, and then on the C major we're playing the D again, that's a color note again, it's the 9, and then we're playing another triad, the C major triad, and we're ending on the A. The A is the 6 on the C major chord, and the 6 in general is a very beautiful interval. The relationship between 2 notes of a 6 is beautiful, but also the 6 as a color note is really beautiful. So sometimes it's nice to just like have a color note as a goal, as a target note where we want to land. But you can see with this line, which is really like a bebop line, that there's so much going into it to make it so logical, right? So the line is really outlining the 2-5. One thing that makes it so clear is the use of the third, which makes this really clear, right? We have a third, we have another third, and then we have a color note because we made it clear where we are. Then we have a triad. What could be more logical, right? Then we have another like color note on the C major, but then we have again a triad. It's also like a melody in the chords like the F, going to the E. Sort of the whole chromatic thing and outlining of everything goes along this melody in the lick, if that makes any sense. Can you hear it? Right, and then again we could think, oh, maybe I know other chords that have this melody as well. Right? So what I really want to encourage you is to start thinking about harmony and melody more as the same thing, sort of, right? Just sometimes it's a line and sometimes it's a chord, but it's all so intertwined, and we can learn from beautiful chords, like in the Chopin's books, how to build lines. But we can also get like ideas from lines for our chords, right? You can think about lines as sort of liquid chord progressions. I just want to mention, because many people always talk about modes for functional harmony, like on 2-5-1s. And I think modes are very important to understand what is G mixolydian and C major. We all have to start somewhere. But if you have a look at the line like this, you know this is not about modes. I wouldn't say per se. You could say the G7 is mixolydian, of course, but it goes much deeper than this. It's a much more intricate and complicated knitting pattern. It's every note is very important, and it's also important on which beat in the bar the note falls, right? So learning a lick like this can really help you understand lines in general, right? It's just like, you know, maybe we can all speak at a certain level or tell a story, but now we want to become like, you know, an author or like a poet, and then it's a good idea to see what other poets did and get inspired by that. And that doesn't mean like we have to sound like Charlie Parker, but it just like tells us how something can work. And then we can draw so much information and inspiration from that. Other than, I wanted to mention that there are 2 online courses starting in September, 3rd of September. There's still some places left. There's one for really beginners and one for people who have been improvising, but it doesn't sound like jazz. And in this course, I'm very excited about this new course. We're going to have a look at 10 guitar players like Wes Montgomery, Jim Hall, Pat Metheny, and take like a really small lick, really understand it, and really try to work with it. So the emphasis on the second new course is really on playing lines and working on our phrasing. So I hope you're doing fine. Let me know what you're practicing. Let me know what you want to see here on the channel. Also, especially if you have a cool lick and you want me to have a look at it and explain it. If I can, I would be happy to make a video about it. See you around. Bye.